a major Republican donor has lost his life in a failed murder-suicide attempt. Happy Halloween, everybody. It's the one day of the year when this room I'm sitting in makes any sense. So Steve Alembik of Boca Raton, Florida, has donated over $200,000 over the past 2 decades to politicians, mostly Republicans. Apart from just being a donor, though, he became decently well known in the media for wearing clothing inspired by the American flag, as well as for being a racist. He didn't think he was racist, though. He was just, quote, an emotional human being. For a non-racist, back in 2018, he tweeted that former President Barack Obama was a Muslim N-word. And when asked about the tweet, he told reporters that he didn't understand why it was okay for Chris Rock, a black comedian, to say the N-word, and he, a white man, was not allowed to. In the same statement, he proceeded to use several racial slurs against several different groups, insisting that him using the words did not make him a racist. He just grew up in New York in the 50s. Following the remarks, Alembik caught some backlash from people on both sides of the aisle, with Ron DeSantis saying that his campaign would no longer accept money from him. Even Rick Scott, who was running for Florida's seat in the U.S. Senate at the time, donated Alembik's campaign contribution to charity. Now, in 2023, outside of a burger joint in Palm Beach County, Alembik shot his wife and then himself. His wife survived the shooting, but he did not. It's unclear what caused the altercation, but many right-wing political and media personalities have expressed their condolences, with Laura Loomer asking that her friend be remembered for all the good he's done, rather than the tragedy of his final moments. Presumably, Loomer was referring to Alembik's donations to politicians that people like Loomer would consider to be good. In supporting good candidates, Alembik was doing good work, even though he may have been grappling with his own demons and suffering with his own mental health struggles. Alembik had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Goodness is relative, it would appear, even though I think most of us would like to believe that it isn't. We would like to believe that what's good is good and what's bad is bad, and there's a greater moral authority that governs all of us that decides which is which. Unfortunately, that only seems to be the case in theory. In the real world, people like Steve Alembik could be considered good, and I don't know his mind, I don't know his heart. I'm not saying whether or not he was good or bad. I didn't know him. Maybe he was, in earnest, trying to be good in a way that he knew how to be. Maybe he thought people like Trump and Ron DeSantis and Rick Scott were doing good in the world, doing the work that the world and the country needed them to be doing. Maybe he really didn't think he was racist, despite using racist rhetoric in a derogatory way. You'd be surprised how many apparently racist people do not see themselves as such. And I don't know what led him to shoot his wife and himself. We know he was diagnosed with a mental health disorder, but we know little else about his mental state at the time of the shooting. And it's dangerous territory to demonize people who are suffering from similar mental health disorders. Many people, some who I know personally, live with bipolarism and they live very happy and full lives. This story could be a few different things. It could be a commentary on mental health in the country and the ways in which poor mental health, whether that's the result of external circumstances or internal turmoil, can negatively impact ourselves, the people around us, and the society as a whole. This could also be about gun control and about regulation pertaining to the people who are given access to firearms. Or it could also be about the general state of the world and how scary living in it has become. In the United States, we live an insular existence. Yes, we have crime, and we have the very uniquely American problem of mass shootings and rampant gun violence, but there are truly horrifying things happening abroad. We see them in the news. They make us feel things we don't like feeling, so we turn off the TV and we throw our phones in another room. But you can only tamp down fear and heartache so much before it all starts to get to you. It's a privilege in this country that we get to shut out the horrors of the world to a certain extent, but that doesn't mean that we're immune to them. We're constantly juggling the impetus to stay aware and informed with the notion that we should be doing something about the things we see and don't like, with the very attractive comfort of living our lives fully despite all of it. And if it all becomes too much for you, I won't judge you if you have to step away from the conversation a bit. Some people might, I'm not going to lie to you, but I won't. All right, that's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and please check out my podcast, Modern Context. The latest episode on Guatemala is out right now. Thanks.